Flosstube, my name is Mariam, my pronouns are she, her. You may know me as Marumi Crafts on Instagram or Marumi Designs on Etsy. Welcome to my Flosstube. This is a channel about cross stitch. Sometimes I talk about other crafty endeavors, but today we're going to talk about cross stitching alone. I'm also a designer, so I'm a stitcher and a designer of cross stitch patterns, and sometimes I talk about my new releases and upcoming releases. So today is not the exception, and we're going to talk about that as well later on. So welcome to those of you who are coming back. Welcome back, and thank you for choosing to check in on my channel and continuing this journey with me. And for those of you who just found my channel, welcome. This is a channel about cross stitch, and I usually upload once a month, sometimes a little longer and far in between. In the past couple of months, instead of releasing a video around the first of the month, it has been a little later, so hopefully that will be adjusted soon, but we'll see what happens. So other than monthly uploads, I also have Flosstube extras. Mainly I reserve those special episodes for my new releases. So if you look back, some of my releases have their own dedicated video. So let's get going. So I usually like to start my reports with what's happening in the community, which is highlighting events that are happening at the time or are upcoming. So one thing that is happening in the community right now and will be going on until the end of March is marathon for MMIW G2S. So if you have been familiar with this, so you know it's back, but if you're not familiar with this is a marathon for missing, murdered indigenous women, girls, and two-spirit, which unfortunately the rate they have a higher rate of being missing or murdered, unfortunately, in across the world, but specifically in North America. So US and Canada has a really high rate, and there are organizations dedicated to studying this, passing policy, making sure that the policies and laws are in place to protect women, girls, and two-spirit indigenous people. And also there are a lot of fundraising that supports the community. And what has been happening in the past few years, and this is something that is done by Erin, Two Martinez Stitches, Alicia from Resist Stitch, Michelle Bendy, Jessi from Mislaid Pages, and Rachel from Rachel Rare Craft. And they have been working together to put together this event, and there are a lot of people who are donating in various ways. Some people pledge a certain amount or hours of stitching, and based on that raise money. So you can go ahead and check out their pages. I will leave a link below to where you can go and donate. So that is happening. And the other thing that is going on in the community is and is available is during this past month, I released a freebie, a pattern for as part of the bundle, as you say, of voices of Palestine. So we are a group of designers and stitchers that we got together, spearheaded by a Palestinian designer, Tam, and she has put together, and this was her idea, to put together this group of people, and we come up with freebie designs. A lot of us previously have released patterns that were like in exchange for donation, and we understand that everyone can participate in that manner and don't have the means to donate. So we wanted to make sure that it's more inclusive. So it's highly recommended that people donate, but if you just want to stitch, that is another form of solidarity and showing support. If you share your progress online, or you put your post about your whip and hopefully finish online. So we got together and we each of us came up with a freebie pattern. So the pattern that I designed is like this. And this is a poem by Mahmoud Darwish, which is one of the biggest names when it comes to Palestinian literature and poetry. So he was a Palestinian poet. He has during his life, he has been an advocate and voice for Palestine for a very long time, since his passing. And during these years, a lot of people go back to his poems and a way to cope with what is happening, and is also a way of record keeping of the events. Poetry and literature is another way of recording what is happening, and also giving voice to those who usually are not the one who will write the history, unfortunately. So people, those who have been victims of all the atrocities that's happening in Palestine, this has been a way for them to cope. All right, and the borders are from Tatreez Initiative, and I'm gonna leave their website below. It's a great library. They have been for years now actively collecting Tatreez, which is a Palestinian style of embroidery, Tatreez motifs, and they created this library. It's an online library, and you can go there, and there are tons and tons of different borders and motifs available, and these are all for free. Not only that, but they actually encourage you to stitch them and share about them and talk about them, and they have all like the meaning and the region of that motif attached to it, and there is an explanation about where this came from and how it's used and what was the symbolism. Because again, another thing that was stripped away from Palestinian through the years, the past 76 years, has been their right to identity. A lot of things that are symbols of their identity has been stripped away and vilified, and actually been targeted and made illegal, including their flag, to carry, to talk about, to have, and to use. So the way that they coped with that was creating these motifs that every single one has a specific meaning to it, and they're all stitched in, usually used to decorate women's clothing. And wearing that is not only a traditional clothing, but has deeper meaning, and it's an act of resistance. So they're actively encouraging people to learn and talk about Tatreez, because that's another way that the culture survives. So feel free to check their website and see different motifs, and I encourage you to put together your own design as well. So my design, the borders that I have, the top and bottom border is called Gates of Heaven, and the side motifs are watermelon. Watermelon, as maybe you do and you don't know, this is a symbol of Palestine, because the colors of watermelons are colors of Palestinian flag. And Palestinian flag was actually using the flag, even colors of the flag, was made illegal by Israeli settlers, and they could not even use their flag. And I think that was lifted in the 90s. However, they still routinely take flags if they see it, someone carry it, and they attack people who have flags on them, wearing them, carrying them, having a symbol of them. And the watermelon became, as a part of like act of resistance, became a symbol and replacement for Palestinian flags. So the side borders are watermelons. All right, so that pattern that is called Hope Sampler is available in my link tree, so you can just go there and you can I have my link tree always at the description box, so you can just go there and click on it, and the first option should be the pattern, and you can download it for free. And the rest of the designers who have designed for Voices of Palestine, you can find them on Instagram, and they're all doing the same. Majority of them are doing the same, as like leaving the pattern in their link trees, or if they have an option of, like, if they have Gumroad store, they have it up there for free as well, so you can go ahead and download it from their shop. Now let's talk about stitching. All right, so let's start with FFO. I have one FFO which I don't have with me because I handed it in. It was for a project for EGA, our chapter, Windy City. EGA, by the way, is Embroidery Guild of America. I'm a member of it, and the project that we are doing in our chapter is we are making bookmarks and leaving it in library, because our meetings are in libraries, so we want to make sure that we're supporting that the culture of reading books and providing that for the community as well. So the design is my design. I'm having, like, I will release it at some point in future, but for now, here's what it's look like. And it was a stitch on perforated paper, and I used pearl cotton 8 to stitch it. So all the background is in 10 stitch, and the actual pattern is in full stitches. Realistically, I could have just gotten away with just having all of it to be in half stitches, but I wanted a little bit more coverage and also more texture for the actual design. And the way it's put together is basically 2 pieces of that perforated paper, the same size, was lined together. So after I stitched on one, I lined the second one on the back, and I stitched them together, so that way the back side is clean and there is no threads or anything hanging out, and it gives a better like look and cohesiveness. And also I'm hoping, because the back is covered, it will last longer. All right, so that's already handed in to the EGA, and they will, you know, with the others that are collecting, then they will give it to the library to be put out for free for readers to pick up. Let's talk about finishes. So I do have one finish this month, this past month, which is a Stitch for Pride 2024. This is a all of it is a big project that these 20 stitches are the Stitch Daddy has taken on, and they have been doing that for, this is the 3rd year, I will say, if I'm not mistaken, that they put together this event. It has evolved to this reiteration, and I actually really like this and this reiteration. So the way it is each month there is a pattern release inspired by a queer artist, and you first do the research and is the learning part about that artist, and then when you're done, as a reward, you get to stitch the pattern. And they also collaborated with Jessi from Mislaid Pages for a fabric that is called Determination, and a floss pack by knitting nurse Jasmine, and I'm gonna show you. So here's my piece so far. So this was January, which was Keith Haring. This was February, Kahinda Wiley, and this was March, which is Stephanie Shi. So she is a Taiwanese American artist and ceramic sculptor. What she's famous for is making ceramic replicas of everyday, really intentionally Asian items. So this is, as you can see, it's a sriracha bottle of sauce. And if you look, this is and it was really interesting because it, on one hand, is like, oh, this is the pop culture, the pop art kind of situation. Yes, it is, but also no, it's deeper than that. And the learning pieces has been really helpful, especially the interviews with her that explains how she started this and why she's doing this. And this has been a way for her to connect with her heritage and culture. And there are a lot of other Asians across the board, from East Asian to West Asia, that connect with that deeply. And I can totally see that. You know, the nostalgia that is attached to these kind of items, that they're not just food or snack or condiment. They're more than that, and they have more meaning and symbolism. A lot of us connect those with the feeling of comfort, home, what is safe, and safety. So having that as a symbol that you can own in a more permanent and non-perishable way, because that's the key. I feel like, yes, we all can have a sriracha bottle, but the sauce inside will go bad at some point. So it's something that you actually use and eat, but then when you have a ceramic version, it's permanent. So it's like your culture, your connection to culture and all of that. And this was the floss for this month. So each month has its own floss with the name of the artist on it. So I love this floss a lot. So the combination of orange and green, it reminded me of mandarin. It's like colors of orange or a mandarin. So yeah. So I'm counting each of these as a finish, because these are, yes, I'm stitching them as a spot sampler, but technically each of these patterns are individual patterns, and you can, by all means, stitch them separately if you want to. So yes, here it is. Let's talk about WIPs. All right, so in the past years, last year and the year before, so in the past couple of years since I started stitching, essentially, I've done WIPgo, which is brainchild of Jessi Marie Does Stuff. I'm gonna link her below. She has explained all about what WIPgo is, but essentially, long story, long explanation short, it's WIPgo for, WIPgo is bingo for WIPs. So the way it works is you assign different projects to 24 numbers, and then you leave the center, which is 25, empty as a freebie, or if you can or you want to, you can assign that number a project as well. So one of the months you will have 3 prompts, which include that center. And then the rest of the month you will have, each year, during the year, you will have 2 numbers pulled, and you basically have to stitch whatever you set for yourself as a goal on various of projects. I did that classic version the first year, and then the second year, last year, I did prompts instead. So instead of saying stitch on this project, I said pick a project that, I don't know, is more difficult, or do it, complete the staff, or stitch on your oldest web. I don't know, stitch on a sampler, or stitch on something with animals, stitch on something with plants, stitch on something with code. So you basically create different prompts and go by that. So I did that last year. I was relatively successful up until, I would say, November. And then because I've had so many things that I needed to complete in the last couple months of the year, I just let go of WIPgo for the last couple months of the year, and just did my own thing. This year I decided not to do WIPgo. A lot of people are doing something similar, of different kind. I'm going back like old school with a lot of how a lot of other people did these kind of challenges for themselves during the year, which is using the tiny decision wheel. So I have that. I have assigned my whips to, I entered my whips in that wheel, and I'm focusing the first 6 months of the year on all of my older whips. So anything that I have started in I think I don't have anything from 2021. So from 2022, anything I started in 2022, I'm counting that as old. I know that's not old for a lot of people. It's old for me because I haven't been stitching that long. I started stitching in December of 2020, and for the majority of 2021, I was a monogamous stitcher. By the end of 2021, I had 2 whips. So the explosion of whips happened during 2022 and then 2023. So those whips that I have in 2022 are now my oldest whips, and I really like those projects, and I want to see them stitched on, finished, and out of my whip pile, because some of them are on a larger side, are more detailed, and I have a lot of colors, and I have a lot of my flosses sort of hostage in those project bags. So I want to finish them so I can free the floss, as Julie in Stitches 16, she came up with this term, a free the floss. So I do want to free my flosses so I can actually hopefully use them for future projects. Okay, so first one that I worked on, the way it works is I pull that name, and when the name comes up, then I stitch on that for 10 days. If I'm after 10 days, if I'm very, very close to finishing the project, then I just go ahead, and if I have the urge to, I just still stitching, continue stitching until it's done. If not, then that's my stopping point. I stop. If preferably, I prefer if there is a few pages to have a page finish as my stopping point, because it's an easier marker for me, rather than just leaving it willy-nilly. So long story long, just to say, so the first number that came up for the past month was Tom's Foolery. So that's Tom's Foolery, Both Hands Across the Sea. So as you can see, there is Adam and Eve here. You're not going to see this in my, I'm going to show you. I have recharted that. So I had page 1 and 2 done, and the first row, to complete the half of the design pattern, there is 3.5 pages in each row. So I went ahead, I did more than just stitching 1 page because I still was within those 10 days. So I finished a little bit more than half of the design. So I finished all of this here, and as you can see, can you guess who these are? This is Zeraphil and Crowley from Good Omens. Wait, they're cute. So yeah, I recharted all of that, and here is my version now. This is on 20 count Zweigart Ada in cashmere blue, and I am using a Sulky conversion. So these are all my own, it's all my own color palette. It's close to the original color palette. It's little, I'll say colors are a little richer in mine. All right, I really like this pattern. There are tons of like little doodads and tiny motifs everywhere. it's like jam-packed and so many colors. So yeah, I'm really happy with now being more than halfway done with this project. I can see this I can see myself being able to finish this hopefully by the end of year. The next name that came up was Flavor of Autumn. And this is by Mary Weaver, and this is my only full coverage right now. And this is what it will look like when it's done. It's like assortments of pickles. And I do have the companion pattern to this, and I'm hoping when this is done, I can start that one. And that one is, I would say, Taste of Summer. Yeah, this one is Flavor of Autumn, that one is Taste of Summer, and that one is Assortment of Jams. So this is pickles, the other one will be jams. Yeah. And I'm doing this page by page. This is 20 count antique white, and I'm doing 2 strand over 1/10 stitch. So I had page 1 and 2 done, so I did page 3. So I would say from half of this jar to here. I feel like it looks really good, right? Yeah, when you get really close, you can see that it's 10 stitch, so the coverage is not like 100%, but I don't really care, because when you who comes that close to your project, and if they do, it's their fault. So yeah. So now I am at 25% done with this project, because it has 12 pages. The next project that came up was Mother Moon. So this is Mother Moon by Joan Elliott. I watched EJ finish her Mother Moon, and that was the whole motivation why I started this project in the first place. If you have not seen it, go back, and I think she finished it in, I want to say last year, I think, or was it in 2022? I think she finished it in 2022. And it looks amazing, and so I said I need to get my hands on this. So I bought a book that includes few different designs, but also includes Mother Moon and then Father Son. So I'm hoping to at sometime in future finish this and then stitch Father Son. So this is all purple, the other one is all yellow and oranges. So it's all blue and purples, which is my favorite color palette. And just look at this color palette. As you can obviously see, this is my favorite color palette. And I'm stitching it on 18 count Wisteria by Mystic Fabric. And this is where I am. So when I started the stitching on this, I only had this, like, just the outline of this little circle here, a line here, these 2 lines there, and then these 2 moons, just the purple, like the gold was not stitched. And now I have all this, and I still have 6 days to go, or 5 days to go on this project. So, oh, we have a visitor. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, so I still have like 5 days to go. So I'm hoping to accomplish much more. So, and this has a lot of beading, but I don't like beading at all. So what I did was I replaced all the beading, and I'm stitching everything as I go, because it has a lot of metallics and cryonics and stuff. So I'm just stitching it all. So you can see there is a toile, And then there are all these very sparkly petite treasure braid and chronics. So the chronics were called for, but petite treasure braids that you can see, like spots, very sparkly bits, those are they're supposed to be beads, but I replaced them with these. So this is one, and then this one, and this is the chronic. I love this, and the gold. Next is I stitch on Cuckoo Bird Sampler by Heart in Hand, and I am stitching it in Cottage Garden thread in Golden Golly, which is this beautiful variegated thread, and I'm stitching it on 20 count Ada in blue cashmere. This is the rest of that fabric that I'm stitching Tom's Foolery on. And I had, before I started picking it up, I only had the half of this top row, and I stitch all of that. Yep. I'm using these smaller monochrome projects that I have as a break for my bigger projects. So when I'm stitching on those larger, older projects, I go back and stitch a session or two on one of these smaller projects. Lastly, it's the project that I've been stitching on now. So it's Ink Circles, Reflections of Scotland. Just look at those little sheeps, so cute. And this is part of Round Robin that I'm part of, and it's like we did our own thing, mainly because we had no clue how Round Robin works, really. So it's mostly my fault, and I mean, Julie in the stitches, she was the one who asked for us to join. So I joined her, and then I made a post. So then Tara from Wilder Woman Crafts and Julie from Kansas City Girl in Colorado World, they joined us. They said they're interested, so we formed a group, and then we went to the organizers of the event and said, well, we have our group, and they said, oh great, let's take you apart and put you in different groups based on the fabric count. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what we wanted. We like our group because we already, by that point, we had all the conversations about different patterns and flosses and fabrics and all of that. So we said, what, you know what, we're all okay with whatever we choose. So let's go rogue. So our team is Team Rogue Robin, and so that's how we're doing it. So I stitched mine, we did the first rotation, and now I have Julie from Kansas City Girl in Colorado World. Her pattern came to me last month, and this is not what I stitched. This is what I stitched. So she already has done her quarter, and the way she quartered it is not to cut off a motif. So for example, you see this is like dipping down into the bottom section, but here she actually marked it, so I had a full thistle to stitch here, so mine went into her section. You know what I mean? Like overall it will all be 25% each section, so it will work out. So I started on my section yesterday, and this is how much I have so far. So not bad, huh? This is 32 count linen from Nicholas Flamel in Bronte Sisters. I think it was a pack, if I'm not mistaken. That's what Julie said. And this is one of the sisters, we don't know who. And the thread is Gloriana Silk in Highland Garden, which again, fitting, Highland for Scotland. And this is what the thread looks like. Beautiful, right? Yes. My goal is to stick to this because I think it will only take me a couple more days to finish it. And then when I finished it, then I can send it away to the next person. So there are, again, our rotation is dissimilar to what round robin usually their rotation is. So usually they switch up, so you don't send to the same person over and over, but that's not how we're doing it, because what's the point? The rotation, the projects are rotating. You don't need to rotate the order of who you're sending your packet to, if you know what I mean. So I will be continuing sending anything that comes my way to Julie, Julie in Stitches, and then she sends it to the next person, and then I get the tail end of the rotation. It comes back to me. Anywho, if I don't know if any of that made sense, but yes, bottom line, I always send my package to Julie in Stitches. So I'm planning on finishing this so I can send it to Julie with a couple of other things that I have for her and sending her way. All right, that's all the whips. So now let's talk about other things that happened, which will be the introduction to all the investments and Stitch Your Kindness and all the other things. So I went on a retreat, and that's mainly why my Flosstube is late this month, because last weekend, instead of recording a Flosstube for you, I was on a retreat. So yes, so EGA Windy City chapter has a retreat on every year. So this year is always around the same time, and it's very close to us. It's within driving distance. It's like 1 hour away from city of Chicago. That's where I am. And Nitya from Daybreak Stitchery, who's a great friend of mine, and she's the one who actually introduced me to EGA, drove to me, picked me up, and then we drove to retreat, and we had a great weekend. So we arrived early on Friday. We started our day early, and we arrived there on Friday, and then we went straight into the stitcher room. We left our luggages in the car because the check-in is in afternoon, but we are there and the stitcher room is open. So basically we got the room, shared the room, and then there is like there was a stitcher room, and the same room was used for other activities related to the event, which was the freebie table, the stash exchange, and also we had snacks, we had dinners and lunches and all of that, all in that same room. So it made it very easy. So we went in there and we stitched, and we got some investment added to our stash. I mean, we announced that we are on a no buy until July, and everyone gasped. They're like, why? So guess what? They broke us down. Yeah. So this was their biggest turnout. I just want to tell you how small it is. So this was their biggest turnout, and we were, I think, 26 or 27 people. That's it. And there were few new members and younger members, which made me happy to see new faces and know that other people are joining EGA. And if you are not part of EGA, search. There are plenty of chapters across the country. Also, hint, and it's a good tip that some chapters, you don't have to be a resident of that certain area to sign up for that specific chapter. You can be living somewhere else, but you like the programming and what that specific chapter does, and you can join them. A lot of those chapters, EGA chapters, have hybrid programs or completely virtual programming. Our chapter does hybrid, so we have in-person meeting in library every month, but at the same time we are zooming that same meeting. So for example, yesterday I joined via Zoom because I had too much people in my life recently, because I was on a retreat with them a week before, and also because I had to catch up on a lot of other things. So I did a virtual. I didn't go to the library. I just joined via Zoom, and that was completely fine. So, and you can, be part of the EGA that way, and also take advantage of all the trainings. They have a lot of different programmings, kits that are offered, different Stitchy related events that are happening, and each chapter is unique, and they have their own culture, they have their own flavor. So look up what chapter is the closest to you, and also do your research. They all have websites. You can search and see what they're doing. Some of them are on Facebook, like our chapter is mainly active on Facebook. So you can take a look, and then if it's something that is your cup of tea, join and take advantage of the events that they have. So so why did I accumulate this much stuff from the retreat? So I was not planning on getting anything. However, a couple of members passed away, and a huge part of their stash was donated to our chapter. And they have been pulling that stash, bringing it to different events, different meetings, just to have it be accessible to people. And they sold a huge part of it. They did a stash exchange, so they can basically collect fund for activities of our chapter. So it was really tempting. So I ended up actually buying stuff from those, and except for one item, I think one book that I bought, everything else was from the stashes of those two members who passed away. Also, there was a great freebie table, and a lot of people left a lot of good stuff on there, and so I took advantage of that as well. And then I had some unique items that I picked up as well. So let's get into it. Because it's a huge bag, I'm gonna just pull from the top and then talk about items, whatever comes out, right? It'll be like a show and tell. All right, let's see. First item. All right, good. So I want to get into knitting and crocheting more, because why not? And this is a kit, like the kitted up project. It's a Victorious from Sarah Bear Crafts, and this is so it's a shawl, and all the stuff that I need is in here. So basically 3 skeins of yarn, and these are Dream in Color yarns, and these other two. So this one is orange, this one is variegated, and the pattern. Next, another yarn. So I bought 2 packs, basically 2 kits. This one is a rainbow shawl kit. It includes the pattern code and a pen as well. So, and this is from Jimmy Bean's wool. So this one is brown, this is black, and rainbow. So this is a it's called Pride shawl. We have a very interested visitor here off camera. I'm just hoping that he's not tipping you very soon. Let's see how long it lasts. And this is a pen that came with it. Nope, not for you. And then a sticker. It said it comes with the code, but I don't see the code, so I might have to look into. Yeah, I don't see any code on this. I was hoping for like a, I don't know, a QR code, but no, it's missing. It's okay. I can find the pattern or another Pride pattern. And by the way, these kits, each one were only $10. So because each like every 3 yarns skeins were $10. So 3 here, 3 out on that one. So pretty good deal. Next, let's see what is here. So this one is a kit, a pattern called the Book of Spells. There is no cover, so I can't show you the actual pattern. Like I can, it's fine. But I didn't buy it for that. I actually bought it for this mainly, which is it has vintage, the Lakeside linen, which is, I've heard a lot of people talk about Lakeside linen. So this is Lakeside linen. Oh, there is half a stitch on this project. So I know where to start. This is the start. This is hilarious. Ooh, this is so soft. I see what the fuss is about. So this is the fabric. And then this is the 310. And let me see. Is there a cover photo? Oh yeah, it does have a cover photo. It just was the on the back. Yeah, so this is, that's what it looks like. If I stitch it, I'm probably gonna just stitch this, this side, the cover. So let's see what threads are there, because this is a completely kitted project. I'm gonna just, because it will take forever if I show you everything. I'm gonna just, there's sampler threads, gentle art. This one is in copper. This one is in ginger snap. Oh, there is one skein of a brand that I don't use, so I'm going to show you the color. I didn't see that in there when I was buying it. I'm not going to use it anyway. This is H. Pewter. This one is the Tin Bucket. This one is Onyx. This is Soot. This is another Soot. And the 310. So it's fully kitted. And these kits were only $6. So all that, like the pattern plus all the flosses and threads, $6. Next, let's see what comes up. Ooh, another kit. So this one is more of like a specialty, like needlework, more of like specialty stitches. So that's what it will look like. I really want to like try, and it came with all the, this is the fabric, all the threads and beads and all the needles you will need and the pattern. So then what's next? Oh, I got this for $1. All the patterns were $1, and then kits, depends on how big or small they were, they could be $3 or a $6. So this is another pattern. Just look at that. I could not resist. Just so cute. Monster bubbles. This is Hoot. I've never heard of monster bubbles, but this one is 2 horses by the Primitive Needle. Just look at those horses. Like those like odd animals always get me. Just look at that. Look at their eyes. Isn't this the oddest thing you have seen? Yeah. Next, so I've always wanted to try lavender and lace. I'm a little afraid because I've heard there is a lot of like it's a more complex style, Bella Filipina, for example, with fractional stitches and all the blending and stuff. So I don't know. And beads, of course I'm going to replace all the beads with the treasure braid. I don't really like beading, but this is the one that I picked. So I'm planning on changing skin tone and hair. So hair is already curly, so I'm gonna turn that into dark brown blackish hair, and the skin will be tan, so it will be a brown girl, a brown angel. I'm not sure about the clothes, the colors. I might change those too, but you know, this is like one for experimentation for me. So these come with those like very large sheet of patterns. So I have to find a way to make a working copy of this, because I'm not going to carry around that huge thing. So next is this a combination of 3 patterns. I bought it for this. Just look at that. It's Harper C. Happer in Stitches Watermelon Moon. Who is this? This is very old. I'm trying to figure out how old is this. Ooh, this is from the year I was born. This is 1985. Copyright 1985. Then I got this. Just look how fun this is. I'm gonna try to cover this. Okay. It includes instruction of how to assemble the needle book. But even if I just stitch this, just look how odd it is. But this is like, that's what makes it fun. It basically, that's a scissor. it's a scissor holder. And then I got this, which is the Witch's Hollow by the Primitive Needle. And I love how odd this looks. There are a couple of sections that I really don't care for. I'm thinking maybe omitting this two in the middle and just pulling this up and just stitching the top one and the bottom one. Okay, so this is the only book that I got. This is Erica Wilson's Needlepoint. And it's basically inspired or by some works of art from Metropolitan Museum of Art. And let me show you what made me want this. So what they did was the original tapestry, or I don't know, cushion or whatever it was that inspired them, they basically turned that into a needlepoint. So this is one. I don't know if I ever gonna stitch this, but just look at that just as a reference. So this is the painting and this is the needlepoint. Oh my god, look at that face. And then the one that I'm actually very interested in is this. So this is the original rug, and this is the needlepoint, that unicorn in the middle. So if I stitch this, I'm gonna just omit the background and probably only stitch the circle and with the unicorn. Even if nothing, this is great for source of inspiration, considering it had a lot of odd animals in it, and I only bought it for $1. No, this actually bought it for $10 because this was what from someone's collection. Next, so the rest are from the freebie table. So this is a kit, DMC kit. Includes the 28 count linen, and it has all the flosses. It's a cross stitch kit. A long dog sampler here. Yep. Did not even open it to see if it's complete. It looks sealed, so hopefully it is complete. I'm only planning on stitching from here up, so that section. And then I got a needlepoint canvas because I again wanted to try, and when it's free, why not? This was from someone's collection and has a little bit of a stain, but it doesn't matter, it's for practice anyway, and I like the design. It's very intricate. So I have to stitch this with, I think, pearl cotton 8 or 3 or 4 strand of DMC. I'm probably gonna stitch it with pearl cotton. And then there were these like very odd, like obviously someone made a bad decision, bought something and then could not use it, so then they left it on a freebie table for people to see if they use it. So there were all these fuzzy threads that are very actually thick, so you can't really stitch in these, and you can't stitch in this anyway, just look at that. But I'm planning on trying to cord these and then using them for finishing, right? And then this was another one of these odd ones, and this is like a cord and it's like silver. So again, cording this and then having it be used for the finishing. If it's free, you can experiment with it. And then they gave us Orvis paste, which is what is used. They use like diluted, very you need to add a lot of water to this, and then you can use it to wash needlework and cross stitch and other needlepoint stuff. Then they gave us quart container that is inspired by Chicago flag. Also, we got a project bag, which also has the stuff in it. I have to open it, and this is a project bag someone made. And okay, so this is Gold Collection Dimensions Kit. Unopened, everything is inside. Then this is a picture frame kit, so you need 2 of them to make a frame. Then they gave us a pattern of the Chicago flower flag, so this is the design someone made. Then I got some random needle minders and scissors and stuff. So the tiniest stork scissor, and then this is a needle minder. There's a pen, and this is a needle case or holder or whatever. This is a tiny kit that includes the threads and all the beads and stuff for this pillow. And then there was a project that we worked on, or we were supposed to work on while on retreat, which was these felt hearts that can be used as scissor pops. But I did not work on them, but I brought the kit, so I'm gonna work on them later. And this is the project bag organizer, whatever. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these out and throw this away and just keep this as the project bag, because it will have 2 pockets, and that will be enough. And it zips up and has a handle, right? Lastly, another thing that was there was, so one of the 2 members that passed away, her partner gave our chapter huge, like big box of her finishes and whips. So some of the whips were already adopted and people took them and were working on them, but also some of her finishes was there, and our chapter asked of us that if anyone is interested, go through them, pick some, and then, or as many as you like, and then finish them, FFO them. FFO them for ourselves, so we keep the item, but to keep the memory of the stitcher, who her name was Sandy, alive, and to give home to these stitch pieces. So I felt this is a great way to honor a stitcher. This is the best way you can honor a stitcher. So I picked I first went and picked a couple of items, and then a couple of like finished items, and then by the end of day 2, or by Sunday morning before we left, I went in because there were all the leftover were still on the table, and they said, please make sure that if you need anything or you can't finish anything, go and pick them up. We want all of these to find homes. So I went in and I picked a couple more. So now I have them all here. So first one that this one I'm gonna frame. So the finishing is a little different on this one. I'm trying to make it look okay. So this is all like a specialty of stitches. This was a class that they did in the guild. So this is her finish, and that's her name. Especially seeing her name, basically her signature, on a piece that she finished and probably was really proud of, made me think of my own mortality and what will happen to all of us when we pass. And I will love for something similar to this to happen, right? For your work to be appreciated by other stitchers. That's the best thing that can happen to your stuff that you leave behind. Also so the rest that I'm going to show you, these are all going to be incorporated in project bags, which is how I usually go about finishing stuff, and some of them I will keep and some will be gifted. So this is a cardinal, and this looks like it was a set. One of the pieces was missing, but I got the other 3. So I'm guessing this is a spring, and this is fall, and this is winter. So summer is missing, and there's a bunny, and she was already like preparing this to be finished in a way, because so you can see she already had it stitched, sewn in to this other piece of fabric as a protection. So turning this to project bag is the easiest one of them all. All right, so the rest of investment. So the only thing that I'm still subscribed to this year is Moselle Silk's Silk of the Month. So every month they send a hank of silk. So I have February, which was this yellow. This is beautiful. I love this happy yellow. Someone is interested to say hi. Come on. Hi. Hi. Hi, Papa. Tell them how naughty you are. Would you tell them? He wants to go. What? You wanted to come here? Okay. All right. And I received March as well. This is March. And then, excuse me, can you just, my God. And I bought 2 books for my design. So Oriental rugs. So this is sort of like, shows all different motifs, where they come from and all of that. Look at that dragon. Look at this. Look at this. Yeah. Even on the cover, look at that. This is demon. It's just weird. so full of art, I mean different motifs. And then this book, which is super heavy. Nomadic Visions. So this is a tribal weaving kind of situation, so it's more up my alley because it has documented. This is from a few private collection of people on the West that went in these tribal places, exotic places, and they basically bought a lot of mostly horse covering, and then they also like have a lot of like items that they brought with them, and this is a documentation of those and the type of work they have and the designs and the like photos of the actual items. And a little bit of description about where they were from and what tribe it belongs to. I mean, I don't care for the intro. I don't care for the language, which is extremely orientalist. Is written in a way that, oh, these are all people that are now gone and they don't exist anymore, and so this is a lost history. I have news for the person who, this book was published in 2021. For the person who published this, these people still exist and they're living in their lands, and they still weave and make rugs, and these traditions have survived. Just because he didn't care, the person who actually wrote this book never visited any of these places that these rugs are from. He only has gone to private collections and then took photos of other rich people's, mainly rich white people, mainly rich white men who went to these exotic places and collected these rugs for their own private collection. Basically taking items from savages when they didn't know what they had, as art pieces. So I'm not really happy about the language, but that's not why I bought the book anyway. I bought the book for the motifs and the examples of the art, but because unfortunately, one thing that is true is every single one of these items are unique, because a lot of nomadic art is unique and individual. And now that these are in private collections, no one else can have access to them. So the only way someone like me will have access to pieces of history and heritage of a land that actually is my land, is looking and buying books that highlights private collections. So a lot of bitterness, but I'm hoping to use these motifs and as an inspiration for my own designing. And yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more research, no. And I guess it's my fault that I expected more, I guess. But what can I say? We live in hope. Anywho, so this is Nomadic Visions by Michael Rothberg. Michael, do better. But I'm still like, I'm gonna write a review on this on Amazon because, yeah. Anywho, that's that. Before we wrap this up, which is it's over an hour and a half now that I'm recording. We'll see how much of it will survive the editing though, because we had a huge interruption with Assad there, so I don't know. I don't know how much of it you have seen. Anyway, so, okay, lastly, I have decided to include a little bit of reading in every few episodes, every few months basically, that I record a Flosstube. This time I'm gonna talk about, like, every time I do this, it will be a recap. I'm gonna tell you about my goal on Goodreads and where I am in terms of tracking. This is good for myself and keeping track of where I am. And then I'm gonna give you a highlight of the most important read that I had so far, and then the most meaningful read that I had in that period. So a little bit about my reading history. So I have been an avid reader ever since I started reading. So I was one of those annoying kids that requested classic books for their birthday. So I requested Anna Karenina Papagourio, which is a French novel, and War and Peace. Yep, and that was my request for 13th birthday, and I opened that. Could not be happier. Leave it at that. And the look in other people, like, faces when I opened that, and the excitement that I had, it did not match. They could not compute what was exciting about this book, because it had a classical look too. So the War and Peace was in like a plain, I would say beige cover with the like a little red line. That's it. And the very tiny font, and thin, very thin paper. So it was like a hunk of a book, but it actually was like even more because it was really thin paper. Anywho, yeah, so I was one of those annoying kids. But then when I immigrated, and then I started like school, and then, you know, when you go to college, you only have time to read college books, and so I fell out of that habit. And then when I was introduced to Goodreads, my world changed, because I started participating in challenges. I think the first one I did was in 2016 or 2013 maybe, I don't know. Back in the day, I started then, and I never stopped. So I've been doing Goodreads challenges every year. It helps me at least read those many books that I commit to, and I have been able to meet my goals every year. I intentionally set a goal that is attainable for me, so I know that I can hit that mark. So this year my goal is 35 books, and my major focus is a list that I made on Goodreads, that is my queer read list. So these are all books that are written by and are about queer folks. So the author must be queer, and the subject matter must, or a hero, topic, whatever, it should be queer. And I try to pay attention and make it as diverse as possible. So not only try to make sure that majority, or at least try to include everyone, but all the shades of the rainbow, as you may say, and different kind of stories. There are some fictions, and there's some non-fiction in there, and there's some YA, some more serious reads, although I think YA is a serious read. And then also from authors that are people of color, of various of backgrounds, various of religious backgrounds as well. And I try to include, especially because of, you know, personal reasons, to include more queer writers, queer Iranian writers in there, and queer Muslim writers in there. So that's the mix. So the list is available. It's on my Goodread. It's in my link tree. The link to the list is on my link tree. So if you want to go and check it out, go check it out, and you might find something that you're interested in, and you can actually start. I encourage you to start reading them and add them to your TBR list. And so out of that 35 books that I set for myself, right now I have read 8 books so far to this day. Out of those 8 books that I have read, 6 were from that queer read list. I have 100 and I think 10 books on that list, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 109, something like that. So I have read 6 of those books that this year. I have read a few of those last year as well, but it's ongoing. So as I read more, I will add more to the list as well. So now highlights. So the most important book that I read so far this year has been What Sexuality Reveals About Desire, Society, and Meaning of Sex by Angela Chen. This is a life-changing book. It was life-changing book for me as someone who's identifies as asexual. However, I encourage everyone to read this because I feel like this is something that is more complex and more nuanced than you might think it is. And the identity is so malleable and ever-changing that you might surprise yourself of how relevant it is. The most meaningful read, so that one is a series of essays. It basically is not a fiction. And then the most meaningful read was a fiction book. It's called Like a Love Story by Abdi Nazemian. Abdi Nazemian is an Iranian gay writer. And I've heard a lot about him, but this was the first time I actually read one of his books, and I have all the rest of his books they've been on my queer read, but now they're gone up in the list, so I can read them sooner. So it has it's a coming of age story, coming out a story. It's a story of an immigrant. It's a story of a teenage Iranian immigrant who comes in terms with his sexuality at the height of AIDS crisis, and his friendship, all the fears that were what he meant to be queer at the time for people, and how scary it was, and how dark it got. And for someone from a background like Reza, who's the Iranian character's background, and then added fear of what will happen if you get AIDS, and that constant fear that prevents him from like wanting to be himself, and then overcoming that and all of that comes afterward. It's an amazing book. It's really, really well written. The characters are very multi-dimensional, gray characters. None of them are completely good or bad. Everyone has an arc, and I would categorize this as a story with happy ending as well. There are like sad moments, there are moments that you cringe, but I consider this book as a queer read with happy ending, and I loved it. So highly, highly, highly recommend this book, Like a Love Story by Abdi Nazemian. All right, so that is it. We made it. So it's this is the longest I think I have recorded a video for Flosstube, so I'm losing my voice, so I'm gonna wrap this up. So lastly, continue using your voice for Palestine, advocate, stitch, and do things that are relevant to the community. Use your voice, do what you can, be kind to each other, and take care of yourself. And as much or as little stitching as you can do, please enjoy. And I see you next. Bye.